6 critical documents that we talked about, and number most important, is the independent contractor agreement. This is the agreement that basically spells everything out. First of all, it defines what an independent contractor is, and the fact that he is not an employee, he's an independent contractor. Talks about the services provided, the cost of the project, taxes, and who's responsible for getting the building permits, inspections, that he's responsible to keep the project cleaned up every day. Client approval, that you have to approve of the property when it's finished, and the final punch list. How it's to be invoiced, change orders, any cancellations, and this is my favorite part, penalties. Do not use an independent contractor form that doesn't have a drop dead date in it. The contract will take 2 years to end the project, and there's a damn thing you can do about it. I don't know if you can read this, but basically it says that if they go past a certain day, there is a per day fee that comes off their final draw. How do you determine that? Number one, I figure out the cost of taxes, insurance, utilities, somebody cut the grass, somebody shoveled snow, the interest on my loan with the points included. And I divide it out and I come up with that per diem figure. Now I have $5. And that's the cost. Now what I do when I'm sitting there signing the papers, I go, now how many weeks is this gonna take you? And they always wanna cut it short a little bit to impress you. Well, 5 weeks, I tell you what, I'm gonna give you 6 weeks, but you go past 6 weeks, that's a week longer than you just said. You go past 6 weeks, $47 comes off your final draw. Boom, thank you. Wasn't very loud, but at least somebody got in. The warranty, that he's gonna warrant his work for 1 year. And there is an arbitration clause in there that if you do get in a dispute with the contractor, he agrees to arbitrate, which is a lot less costly than going to expensive litigation. Time is of the essence. Kaboom, baby, thank you. Time is of the essence of this agreement, and it's the entire agreement. Scope of work. This is the second most important document you're going to get signed. This is what you and your contractor are going to agree on, and it demonstrates efficiency, accuracy, and it takes away all the gray area. A detailed scope of work. Excuse me, not just a scope of work, but a detailed scope of work. And it is a great way to impress hard money and private money lenders. And this is my favorite one. A detailed scope of work will make a good contractor great. One more time.
Kaboom!
Now this is what Fortune Builders' scope of work looks like. Mine is very similar. And it goes over everything in extreme detail. The exterior, fix damaged fascia board at front of house above garage door, paint any damaged wood, install new exterior lighting, and it just goes boom, boom, boom. Up here, the paint colors. Every paint color and the code, where they're to get it, and the finish, black, high gloss, or semi-gloss, satin, whatever the case might be. Landscaping, the roof, windows, glass doors, demo, general interior, everything about the kitchen. When I go through with my contractor, I go, let's say it's the master bedroom. 2 cracks in the ceiling. First of all, in the general interior, I'm gonna fix all cracks, spackle, tape, paint, same. But every bedroom, 2 cracks in the ceiling, small hole in wall under window. I mean, every room is that detailed. If you're that detailed with your scope of work, can you really get into a pissing match with the contractor? Well, I thought you meant this. No, I meant this. You can't even go there. So that's why I say a detailed scope of work makes a good contractor great. It eliminates that gray area. Master bath, half bath, bedroom, plumbing, electrical. This is the hold harmless agreement, as we call it, or they call it an insurance indemnification agreement. This is what I call insulation. Will it protect you every time you gotta go to court? Probably not, but the majority of the time it will. And what it is, it's another added level and another layer of protection. So the judge is gonna sit there and the contractor's paperwork's all a mess. And you're sitting there with all your documents, everything, boom, 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 is in line, all your 6 documents. And again, it's just another level of protection, another layer. You wanna do everything you can to avoid going to court.
I somehow missed 3.
Yes, is there 3? I missed 2.
Scope is two.
Scope of works too, the hold harmless insurance indemnification agreement is number 3. Oh, we got more. We got more.
Do you call on all of the insurance policies and their licenses and verify that they're all legitimate?
I am glad
With
you
every
asked that,
contractor.
and we're gonna get to that. Okay. W-9 form, I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on this, I think everybody knows what that is. You're gonna get that contractor to fill this out because you are gonna, for tax purposes, we need to get this information, so you can send them a 1099. The final unconditional waiver of lien, this is what you give him, or excuse me, this is what you get him to sign when he's finished the project and he has his hand out for that final draw. You do not give him that check until he signs that unconditional waiver of liens. Number 6.
There it is.
All right, somehow the number got
Yeah,
messed
number
up.
3.
That doesn't matter.
I got a question on number 6. Why you said that on, make sure they sign that is because they don't want to go put a mechanics lien on your property.
Right.
And, so they won't try to, take your property or hold your,
Go ahead. Again, we did get the numbers messed up, somebody caught that out there. This is the payment schedule. And this is where you put the amount that he's to get paid and how many draws. Typically, if it's a pretty big project, we're doing 4 draws. The last draw should always be much larger than the other 3, because you want to have that carrot dangling at the end of the stick for him. If all the draws are equal, and they're drawing that project out way too long, and you got 35 days of penalties from going overboard, and he's still got to put the appliance, and he's still got to do this, there's a good chance that contractor's just not going to finish. Going to say, you know what, keep that 4th draw, it's not worth it, and you're going to walk away. So you always have to make that last draw very important, extremely important. Make that much bigger than the rest of the draws.
Kaboom!
What percentage,
Boom, thank you.
what percentage would you say would be the last draw?
30?
No, it's not enough. I would say probably 35, typically what we do.
How do you determine, how do you base that?
The first draw, if he's buying a lot of materials, might be more, because he not only has to feed his family, but he's gotta buy all the materials. Once the materials are bought, now it's just getting the work done. So every job is different, that's really hard to answer. You're gonna have to analyze each and every job and determine that yourself. You wanna keep them hungry until the end. Now, this will happen, I guarantee it happens all the time. The contractor comes to you and wants a draw, because it's a Friday, they love to get their draws on Fridays, and they haven't completed their scope of work yet, and they're gonna have a million excuses. You know, their grandmother needs a triple bypass, their car broke down, their dog got run over. I'm telling you, you will hear it all. When I first started doing this business, I kind of gave in to them and wouldn't deck them back to home every time. So now, I have, after years of doing it the wrong way. I have developed the perfect line, the perfect comeback to a contractor when they come in and ask me for money before that scope of work is finished on that draw. Everybody have a pen, right? I want you guys to write this down. Okay? So when a contractor comes in and asks for money before they finish that scope of work on that draw, here's what I tell them. No. No. In this case, no does mean no. They get that. It took a while, they finally got it. Oh my God, you guys are sleeping. Thank you. When you get the document signed with the contractor, and this is very important if you want to have a professional attitude and exude confidence to that contractor, you want to control the process. Don't meet him out at the job site and sign papers on the hood of his pickup truck. Try to do it in your office. Even if you have a home office, do it in your office. Control that process. Be professional. Sign it in a controlled environment. And if you're in a home office, get rid of the kids and the dog. Okay? The dog barking, kids coming in is not very professional. Set the expectations of how you want to communicate. I'm on the phone with them 3-4 times a week. And I'm usually visiting the job site once a week. It's a bit better if you visit the job site twice a week, but I just can't, make it on enough time. And set the expectations of how they're to be paid. If you complete your scope of work, we'll pay you the following day, the following week, whatever. Let them know up front so that they're not bushwhacked at the end. Assess your risk. Every project has a risk. And I don't mean the fact that you're going to lose money, I mean the fact that something could go wrong. What type of neighborhood is it? Should you put up no trespassing signs? Be properly insured. If you're in a neighborhood, you have to use some common sense. If you're in a neighborhood that's, high crime area, get yourself a sidekick maybe to go in. I think everybody, once you hit a certain age, every guy should have a sidekick. Batman had Robin, right? Green Lantern had Kato. Scotty Rose has Drake. I should get a sidekick. Maybe I'll break the mold and get me a female sidekick. Maybe not. I'm glad my wife has a sense of humor. She married me, she must. Obtain renovators insurance. When we talked to our insurance agent, she asked me, well, how much renovation are you doing? Just going in and doing carpet and paint, or are you, new kitchens, baths, putting new roofs on? Insurance companies are always looking for ways not to pay you. That's how they make money. If they paid you the max every time, they'd probably go out of business. So make sure that you're properly insured. Extremely important. A builder's risk policy is designed to cover properties while under construction. Make sure that when you're finished, a lot of insurance companies are going to want that to convert over to a vacant dwelling policy. Put up no trespassing signs. And if you have an open trench, again, a little common sense, get one of them orange fences and put around so kids don't fall in there. You're never going to eliminate all of your risk, but you can minimize it. Protect your lenders. Banks are going to require it. Hard money lenders typically are going to require it. Private lenders typically will forget about this. So you're going to impress them if you tell them, we're going to cover you. We're going to put you on insurance policy as an additional insurer. Secure your property. I've never done the security camera thing. It says you can put up fake ones. I guess that works. You can leave a radio on, stick a pit bull in the house. If you're in Allison Hills, that's probably not a bad idea. Of course, the next day you come, the pit bull will probably go on. Somebody's pet. Keep exterior lights on. That's a good one. You know criminals hate lights. Put up signs, beware of dogs. Don't leave valuable tools in the job overnight. And don't, when the project started the first week, don't order everything. Your appliances, you know, the faucets, the lighting, and it's sitting there for a month while they're working on the house. Number one, they gotta work around it, which is a pain in the butt. Number two, you're just asking for somebody to break in and steal all that stuff. I see you shaking your head, it's happening to you.
That's a good boom right there.
That's a kaboom. Educate your team. Contractors are notorious for not educating their team members. They have to leave an hour early because they've got to go bid another job. Well, that's cool. Who's in charge? Well, I thought you closed the windows. Well, I thought you closed the windows. And you know, you get one of these. So make sure that contractor knows that it's his responsibility to make sure that's locked up tight, windows are shut, windows are locked. Make sure the job site's cleaned up every day. If you're gonna bring potential buyers in, the last thing you want is them to tripping over a bunch of lumber, a bunch of garbage, and next thing you know, you're involved in a lawsuit. Plus, you know, but I know when I was younger and I worked construction, I hated working in dirt, you know. But get them to clean that job site up every day. We touched upon that, don't put appliances in at the very end, especially if they're stainless steel. Ask me how I know. About it, we had one with a dent in it, one with a scratch, it's gonna happen. They go by with their tool belts on. Don't do that. And don't put the properties in your personal name. Form an LLC, talk to your attorney, get the best advice from your attorney, that's the pro, on how to protect yourself that way. You had this question? Verify your contractor's insurance. If they walk in with the proof of insurance, don't take it. Make sure that that insurance company emails it to you or faxes it to you. And then get a hold of the insurance company and you tell them, if that contractor cancels that insurance policy, I want you to call me. It will be the first time that somebody got an insurance policy, a 6-month policy, and showed it to you, 2 days later they canceled it.
That's a kaboom.
Thank you.
Can't believe anyone.
Yeah, that's true. After you purchase the property, install new locks. I mean, this is kind of a no-brainer, but install new locks. Use the same materials and products as long as it's in the same price range. Obviously, you're not gonna put the same faucet in a $120,000 house as a $250,000 house. You're not gonna put the same countertops in. A lot of people buy in the same range because it's their comfort zone. They like, you know, like that 80 to 150 price range, for example. So the faucets, the countertops, you know, the cabinets are all the same. Who in here has done a rehab before? This is man. Remember that first rehab at Lowe's, from Home Depot? How many hours did it take you and your wife? We spent hours at Lowe's looking at every faucet, writing it down, right the item number down. And then the cabinets, and then the countertops, and we're like, oh, can I go now? It sucks. But once you get all the item numbers down and you stay consistent with the paint, you stay consistent with the carpet, you stay consistent with the cabinetry, the countertops, the faucets, you already have it all down now. And if you have credit, I just call it in. I fax it into my guy at Lowe's and go, hey, fill his order. You know, give me a price, right? So it drastically reduces the work. Obviously, the first 2 times or so, you're gonna have to, you know, spend the time to do it. After that, it should start to become automatic. In other words, you're creating a system. The rehab process. Use a checklist. Everybody likes checklists, right? They work, that's why. Weekly meeting with your staff, even if it's just your wife. Have a weekly meeting and go over that property and everything and the steps that are involved and what's coming up next, and you've got to order this and order that. Make sure you have that meeting. sure the contractor tells his people to pack that dumpster properly. You may be the one paying for that dumpster. Tell us your story.
It's just, we did actually, started just tossing stuff in, and then the guys came home, they just tossed stuff in, so every other day, I would be out there pulling holes and jumping and carrying stuff home and going.
We all did that. Don't feel bad, we all did that. So now, before that, his cabinets go in there, you got a sledgehammer, and you out there, you break them up, make them flat, and then you throw them in so that they lay flat, and you can stack a ton of stuff in a dumpster if it's done properly. And dumpsters aren't cheap, right? Those big ones are what, $6.50? Yeah, and that's if you don't go overweight.
You got one setting out overweight. It's half full of concrete.
I always love the TV shows. When they're doing their demo, what do they always do that nobody ever does? It's the cardinal sin. Break glass. Nobody breaks glass on a job site, right? Who wants to pick all that up? But the first thing on those TV shows, they're throwing stuff through windows, they're breaking mirrors. Doesn't happen. So you take out a window, you carry it real gingerly in the dumpster, right? You do not break glass. So I hate those TV shows, by the way, because they're just not realistic. I mean, put terrible ideas in people's heads. Next step is your rough end. You know, you're gonna have the plumber, the electrician, insulation. Then you're gonna go to painting, vinyl, putting the cabinets in, trim. Sizzle features, everybody loves sizzle features, right? That is your skylights, your granite, your tile, your wine cooler refrigerators, which are extremely popular today. Dimmer lights, we are big on dimmer lights, especially if you're showing the property and you have certain lights dim that hits the granite and then it just pops. And then finally, you clean and stage it. Staging is extremely important. My wife takes care of our staging, and we have enough. We don't go overboard with the staging. We don't do bedrooms, but we do dining rooms, kitchens. We put a few items in the living room, maybe some plants, a little magazine rack, big overstuffed chair type thing, or maybe just a couch. Just enough to give it some of that homey feel. And if there's any realtors in the crowd, they can all tell you how important having a staged house is compared to selling a vacant house.
There's a reason builders furnish models.
And don't they look awesome? Those builder's models. I walk in, like, oh my God, this is so cool. And what don't you see in those builder's models? Personal pictures. So you're not gonna have that in rehab, but for any realtors in here, you've gotta get those people to take those personal pictures down. Nobody wants to go into a house that they're trying to buy and see 50 pictures of your wedding, of the kids and your aunt and uncle and grandma, because the house doesn't become theirs then. The house is still yours. So by depersonalizing that house,